Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are going to do something a little different. Usually we look at the shiny objects, the breakout strategies, the high-frequency trading algorithms, the stuff that makes headlines.
Exciting stuff.
Exciting stuff. But today, I want to talk about the piping, the invisible plumbing that runs underneath the Wall Street.
The unsexies.
The incredibly unsexy stuff. But here's the thing. If this plumbing bursts, the whole house floods. I want to start with a concept that I think every single person listening to this takes for granted. Trust. When you open your brokerage app, Zeroda, Grow, Angel One, whatever you use, and you see a price for Reliance or Infosys, and you tap that green buy button, what actually happened?
Well, the number changes on your screen. You feel a little dopamine hit.
Right. But you just sent real money, your hard-earned savings, into like the digital void.
Yeah.
You assume with 100% certainty that you now own a piece of that company. You assume that if you hit sell tomorrow, the cash will hit your bank account. But pause for a second. How do you know?
That is the ultimate question, isn't it?
How do you know the guy on the other side of the trade, who could be a college kid in a dorm in Pune or a massive hedge fund in New York, actually has the shares to give you? Or if you're selling, how do you know they aren't, broke? How do you know you aren't sending your shares into a black hole?
It's terrifying when you actually stop to think about it. In the old days, and I'm talking way back, ring trading days, you literally had to trust the other broker. And sometimes people they didn't pay up. We had settlement crises.
Exactly. And that is why we're doing a deep dive into Chapter 7 of the NISM Equity Derivatives Certification. This chapter covers the clearing and settlement system, and our mission today is to decode this black box. We're going to build the fortress of the Indian stock market, brick by brick, so you can understand why you can sleep at night after placing a trade.
I love the fortress metaphor, because that is exactly what it is. It's a defensive structure designed to withstand sieges, market crashes, broker defaults, you name it. Most people think trading is about offense making money. This chapter is all about defense, making sure the game doesn't just end because one player flips the board over.
So let's lay the foundation, the black box problem. Most retail traders, I think, they think the market is peer-to-peer. I buy, you sell, we swap. Simple.
That's the intuitive view, but it is technically, legally, and operationally completely wrong. In the modern derivatives market, you are never, ever trading with another person.
Never.
You're trading with a machine. A massive legal entity called the Clearing Corporation.
The Clearing Corporation.
Yes.
In the SM text, they define it as the entity responsible for clearing and settlement of all trades in the F&O segment.
Yeah.
But it's more than just an administrator, right? It's not just a scorecard keeper.
No, a scorecard keeper just watches. The Clearing Corporation steps onto the field. And this brings us to the very first pillar of our fortress, novation.
Novation. Okay, it sounds like a medical procedure. What does it actually mean in this context?
Novation is a legal term. It's the act of replacing an old obligation with a new one. In the stock market's context, it means the clearing corporation interposes itself between the buyer and the seller. It just jumps in the middle.
Okay, walk me through a trade. Let's say I buy one lot of Nifty futures, and you, sitting in your office, sell one lot.
Okay. The millisecond our orders match on the exchange's computer, the legal reality shifts. The system, it chops the link between us.
It just severs it.
Instantly. Technically, the clearing corporation steps in and becomes the buyer to you, the seller. And at the exact same time, it becomes the seller to me, the buyer.
So we never actually touch. There's no direct connection between my account and your account.
Never. You are now legally facing the clearing core. I am legally facing the clearing core. The direct link between us is completely gone.
Why do this? I mean, it seems like extra steps, extra complexity. Why insert a middleman into every single transaction?
To eliminate counterparty risk. That's the one. That is the single biggest threat in any financial system. Imagine if we didn't have novation.
Okay.
You buy that Nifty lot from me. Suddenly the market crashes, say 10%. I owe you maybe 5 lakhs, but I don't have 5 lakhs. I'm broke. I default.
So I'm sitting there with a winning trade on my screen, but I can't collect the money. It's just a number because you're insolvent.
Exactly. You'd have to sue me. And while you're busy suing me, maybe you owed money to someone else, so now you default on them. It triggers a domino effect, a chain reaction. The whole system collapses.
The novation process stops the dominoes before the first one even falls.
Precisely. Because the clearing corporation is the counterparty to everyone, it guarantees the settlement. You don't need to check my credit score. You don't need to know if I'm good for the money. You only need to trust one thing, that the clearing corporation is solvent.
Which implies the clearing corporation must have just a massive amount of money or a very, very strict set of rules to ensure it doesn't go broke?
It has both. It's a firewall. But because it takes on the risk of every single trade in India, it is extremely picky about who it talks to. You and I can't just walk up to the clearing corporation and say, hey, clear my trade.
Right. And that brings us to the hierarchy of members. This is like the security clearance levels to get into the fortress.
That's a perfect analogy. At the bottom, or maybe the outer layer, you have the clients. That's us. Then you have the trading members. These are the brokers you place orders with. But here's the catch. Just because you're a trading member doesn't mean you can clear trades.
Really? I just assume my broker handles everything from start to finish.
They handle the execution, yeah, but they might not have the badge, so to speak, to handle the clearing. There are specific categories. First, you have the self-clearing member, or SCM.
SCM. Okay, what can they do?
They can clear and settle trades for themselves, their own proprietary trades, and for their own clients. But that's it. They can't touch anyone else's business. And even for this privilege, the NISM text notes, they need a net worth of at least 100 lakhs 1 crore.
Okay, 1 crore is a decent chunk of change, but in the grand scheme of financial markets, it's not huge. What if I want to be a bigger player? What if I want to clear trades for other smaller brokers who can't do it themselves?
Then you need to level up. You become a trading member, come clearing member, a TMCM.
Okay.
This is the heavy lifter of the ecosystem. They clear for themselves, their clients, and they can clear for other trading members or for what are called custodial participants.
So they're taking on other people's risk now, not just their own.
Exactly. And because the risk is higher, the entry fee is higher, the net worth requirement jumps to 300 lakhs.
3 crores. That still feels achievable. I mean, for a financial institution, is there a level even above that?
Oh, yeah. There's the professional clearing member, or PCM. This is a fascinating category because these entities often don't trade at all.
They don't trade. How does that work?
No, they don't have a prop desk. They don't have retail clients placing bets on Nifty. They are purely administrative and financial muscle. Usually, these are massive banks or large custodians. Their entire business model is, we have a huge balance sheet and we will use it to clear trades for big institutional players. Think mutual funds, foreign portfolio investors, that kind of thing.
So if a huge foreign investor from, say, the U.S. wants to trade in India, they aren't going to open a small brokerage account. They're going to go through a professional clearing member, which is likely a massive bank.
Correct. And the Clearing Corporation loves these guys because they have incredibly deep pockets. The source material talks about the financial moat involved here. You know, security deposits. You have to park a ton of cash, around 50 lakhs, just to start with the Clearing Corp. It's like a security deposit on an apartment. If you mess up, they keep the money.
It's skin in the game.
Yeah.
Real skin in the game. Okay, so we have the players. Now let's talk about the game itself. The outline distinguishes between clearing and settlement. I feel like people use these interchangeably all the time. Oh, the trade cleared, the trade settled. Are they actually the same thing?
No, and mixing them up is a classic rookie mistake. Think of it like a dinner with friends.
All right.
Clearing is when the bill comes and you figure out who had the pasta, who had the wine, and who owes what to whom. It's the calculation of all the obligations.
It's the spreadsheet work,
Yeah.
the accounting.
Exactly. It's determining, okay, broker A owes broker B 500 shares of Tata Motors, and broker B owes broker A 2 lakhs in cash. That's the clearing process.
And settlement.
Settlement is when you actually open your wallet and hand over the cash. It's the physical or, digital movement of assets. The securities move from one demat account to another, and the funds move from one bank account to another.
So clearing is the math, settlement is the movement.
Perfect. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty of how that movement happens, we have to talk about a major upgrade to the Fortress that happened back in 2019. Interoperability.
Interoperability. It's a mouthful. Before this, the source material implies the system was really inefficient. What was the old world like?
The old world was a headache for capital efficiency. It was a nightmare. Imagine you have 2 separate bank accounts. One is for trading on the NSE, the National Stock Exchange, and one is for the BSE, the Bombay Stock Exchange.
Okay, got it.
And let's say you are long on SBI futures on the NSE, you've bought them, and at the same time you are short on SBI futures on the BSE.
So I'm hedged. Perfectly flat. If the price goes up, I win on NSE, lose on BSE. If it goes down, vice versa. My net risk is 0.
Your market risk is 0. But in the pre-2019 world, the NSE's clearing corporation didn't talk to the BSE's clearing corporation. They were complete silos.
They didn't know what the other was doing.
Not at all. So the NSE would look at your long position and say, hey, give me margin for this risk. And the BSE would look at your short position and say, hey, You give me margin for this risk.
So I'm paying double margin for a zero-risk position. That's insane.
You are. You have capital just trapped in two different silos doing nothing. It was incredibly inefficient.
And interoperability fixed this.
It smashed the silos. Interoperability means that trades executed on any exchange, NSE, BSE, doesn't matter, can be cleared by the clearing corporation of any other exchange. It connected all the pipe.
So now in that same SPI example, what happens?
Now, the system looks at your total portfolio across all exchanges. It sees plus 10 lots on NSE and minus 10 lots on BSE and says, oh, you're flat. Your net obligation is zero. No margin required for that spread.
That is massive for traders. I mean, that frees up so much money that was just sitting idle.
It is. But there's another benefit that I think is even more important for the stability of the fortress: disaster recovery.
What do you mean by that?
Well, what if the NSE Clearing Corporation has a software glitch? Or a cyber attack? It happens. In the old days, if the clearinghouse went down, the market halted, period. Panic everywhere.
And now?
Now, because they're interoperable, if one clearing corp goes offline, brokers can just route their trades to be cleared by the other clearing corp. It's like having a backup generator that kicks in instantly. It removes a massive single point of failure from the entire market.
That makes the system so much more resilient. It's a huge deal.
Oh.
Okay, let's get to the part that I think scares people the most, or at least it should scare them if they actually understood it. Section 3, the mechanics of settlement.
Ah, yes. This is where the rubber meets the road, and where bank accounts can get drained very, very quickly.
We have to separate futures and options here because they're treated differently. Let's start with futures. The term mark-to-market, or MTM, we hear it all the time. I had a bad MTM today. What is physically happening when that occurs?
A lot of people, especially new traders, think MTM is just a paper loss. Oh, my portfolio value is down. I'll just wait for it to come back up. In the cash market, that's true. In futures, that is dead wrong.
Explain that difference. It's critical.
Futures are cash settled daily. Let's say you buy a nifty future at, say, 18,000. The market closes at 17,900. You've lost 100 points.
Right.
That evening, the clearing corporation, through your broker, puts its hand into your bank account and literally takes the cash value of those 100 points out. It's gone. Transferred to the account of the person who made money on the other side of your trade.
So it's not a paper loss at all. It's a real, tangible cash flow happening every single day.
It is a cash flow. And here's the crucial part, the reset. Because you paid that loss, the system now treats you as if you bought the contract at 17,900. Your buy price is reset to the closing price every single day.
So the risk doesn't build up over time.
Exactly. If we waited until the end of the month to settle, you might owe a gigantic amount and you might not have it. By settling every day, we keep the debt small and manageable. We prevent a small loss from turning into a catastrophic one.
Now, that's the daily grind. But what happens on expiry day? The final settlement. The source material makes a massive distinction here between index futures and stock futures.
This is the real danger zone. Index futures Nifty, Bank Nifty are cash settled. At the end of the expiry, if you're profitable, you get cash. If you're loss-making, you pay cash. Simple, clean, no fuss.
But stock futures?
Stock futures Reliance, HDFC, Tata Steel are physically settled.
I want to pause here because I have heard absolute horror stories about this. Can we walk through a specific example? Let's say I am a retail trader. I have a small account, maybe 5 lakhs. I buy one lot of Maruti futures. Maruti is an expensive stock. One lot is a substantial amount of money.
One lot of Maruti is huge. Let's say the contract value is around 15 lakhs. You only paid the margin, maybe 2 or 3 lakhs, to enter that trade.
All right. I'm holding this trade. Expiry day comes. I forget to close it. Or maybe my internet connection dies at 3:15 p.m. The market closes. I am still holding that long futures contract. What happens next?
You are in deep, deep trouble. Because you held that position until the end, the clearing corporation says, congratulations, you have agreed to buy these shares.
But I don't want the shares. I just wanted to trade the price movement. I was just speculating.
It doesn't matter. The contract is legally binding. You are now obligated to bring the full contract value, the entire 15 lakhs in cash.
I only have 5 lakhs in my account.
Then you are in default. The broker will likely sell your other assets, charge you massive penalties, and you might end up owing money you don't have. It can wipe you out and then some.
That is a complete nightmare. And what if I was short? The other side of that.
Even worse, in some ways. If you are short and you held to expiry, you are obligated to deliver the shares. If you don't have those Maruti shares sitting in your demat account, the clearing core has to go into the auction market, buy them at whatever price they can get, and it's usually a very high punitive price, and give them to the buyer. And then they send you the bill for that auction purchase, plus a hefty penalty.
So the lesson is, if you are trading stock futures, do not, under any circumstances, let them go to expiry unless you actually want to buy or sell the physical truckload of stock that it represents.
Exactly. The system assumes you want the truckload. Don't be surprised when it shows up at your door.
Let's pivot to options. The settlement works differently here, too.
The options have two lives, really, the daily life and the expiry life. During the daily life, we have what's called premium settlement.
This is the T+1 settlement.
Yes. When you buy an option, you pay the premium. When you sell an option, you receive it. This transaction settles the next day. But notice, unlike futures, we don't do daily MTM on the value of the option. We don't reset the strike price or anything like that every day.
Right, but then comes expiry. In India, we use European-style options.
Which means you can only exercise on the last day. And the NISM text highlights a very important feature: automatic exercise.
What does that mean?
It means the system protects you from your own stupidity, essentially. If you own a call option that is in the money, meaning it has real intrinsic value, and you forget to exercise it, the system does it for you. You don't have to call your broker and say, I want to exercise.
That sounds good. It's a nice safety net.
It is good for the buyer. But for the seller, for the seller, it brings us back to the physical settlement trap.
Assignment.
Yes. If you sold a call option on a stock and it expires in the money, you will be assigned.
It sounds like being drafted for war. You have been assigned.
It can feel like it. It's a lottery. The system randomly selects sellers to fulfill the obligations of the buyers who are exercising. If you get assigned, you must deliver the shares, even if you don't have them, which means you're back in that auction market nightmare we just talked about.
So again, if you are selling stock options, you are playing with fire if you hold them to expiry without owning the underlying stock.
Absolutely. The fortress demands the bricks. If you promise to deliver bricks and you show up empty-handed, the fortress will crush you.
There was one silver lining in this settlement section, though, net settlement. This seemed like a really smart efficiency hack.
It is a very clever piece of engineering. It connects the cash market and the F&O market to make things smoother.
How does it work? Can you give an example?
Sure. Imagine you have a put option on a stock at a strike price of 100. The stock falls to 90 on expiry day.
So my put is valuable. I have the right to sell the stock at 100 even though it's trading at 90.
Right. On expiry day, you go into the cash market and you buy the stock at 90.
Okay, so I've just spent 90 rupees to buy the share. I have the right to sell it at 100 via my put option.
In the clumsy old world, you would pay 90 to the cash market, wait for the shares to come into your demat, then deliver those shares to the F&O market, and then get your 100 rupees. Lots of steps, lots of movement.
Very clunky.
With net settlement, if you do both those trades through the same clearing member, the system sees the whole picture. It says, look, you bought the share in the cash market and you're selling the share in the F&O market. Let's just cancel the movement. You don't need to touch the shares. The system just gives you the 10 rupees profit directly.
That is so much more efficient. But the catch is the same clearing member.
Yes, that's the key. If you use two different brokers, the system can't see the link and you're back to physical delivery hell.
Okay, we've covered the plumbing novation and the movement settlement. Now we need to talk about the shield, risk management.
This is my favorite part. This is where the math gets really beautiful.
You call it beautiful. Most traders call it, why is my margin requirement so ridiculously high?
Glasses. It's high, so the system survives. We talked about how the clearing core guarantees everything, but it doesn't want to use its own money. It wants to use your money to ensure your risk.
Layer 1 is capital adequacy, which we discussed, the entry fees for brokers. But layer 2 is the big one, SPAN.
SPAN, Standard Portfolio Analysis of Risk. It's the engine that calculates margins globally, developed by the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. It's the gold standard.
How does SPAN actually think? Is it just looking at historical volatility?
It's more paranoid than that. SPAN doesn't just look at what did happen, it simulates what could happen. It runs your entire portfolio through 16 different what-if scenarios.
16? What kind of scenario?
Yes. It asks, what if the market goes up by 3%? What if it goes down by 5%? What if volatility spikes by 20%? What if volatility crashes? It stresses your portfolio in every conceivable direction. And then it takes the worst case scenario, the scenario where you lose the absolute most money, and says, okay, that is your initial margin.
So it finds your breaking point and makes you pay for that possibility up front.
Exactly. It's designed to cover 99% of the risk. We call it 99% value at risk, or VAR.
But 99% isn't 100%. What about the 1%? The black swan events, the days when the market crashes 20%, like a COVID crash?
That is why we have the exposure margin. This is the second layer of the margin buffer. It is an extra charge, over and above span, specifically designed to handle those freak events that statistical models might miss. It's the just-in-case money.
So initial margin from span plus exposure margin equals the total margin that gets blocked from your account.
Correct.
Now that handles the risk before the day starts. But markets move fast. What if I lose a fortune at 11:00 a.m.? The market doesn't wait until 3:30 to take your money.
And neither does the clearing core. This is where intraday crystallized losses come in. In the old days, brokers might wait until the end of the day to ask for more money. But now the system watches in real time.
Is watching the scoreboard constantly.
Yeah, constantly. If you are bleeding money on a position, the system crystallizes that loss. It immediately blocks that amount from your free collateral. If you don't have the buffer, you get a margin call instantly. You don't get to wait for the closing bell. It's pay as you lose.
Brutal. But necessary for the system's health. Now, there is a specific margin that connects back to our physical settlement nightmare, the staggered delivery margin.
This was a relatively recent addition, and it caused a lot of groans from traders who like to play the expiry game. But it saves lives.
How does it work?
Remember our guy who forgot to close his Maruti futures?
The guy who suddenly needs 15 lakhs.
Right. The system knows that on expiry day, he needs 15 lakhs. But normally, he only has, say, 2 lakhs of margin blocked. To bridge this gap to avoid a last-minute shock, the system starts ramping up the margin requirement 4 days before expiry.
It slowly tightens the screws.
Exactly. On expiry minus 4 days, you need 20% of the full contract value. On expiry minus 3 days, it jumps to 40%, then 60%. And on the day before expiry, you need 80% of the full value of the shares blocked in your account.
So if I don't have the money, the system forces me out well before the final day.
It forces you to square off. It creates a soft landing instead of a crash on the final day. It prevents that panic.
And finally, in the risk section, we have to mention peak margin. This was, for many, the death of the intraday leverage era.
Oh, this was huge. A few years ago, brokers used to say, hey, give me 10,000 rupees and I'll let you trade 10 lakhs worth of stock as long as you close the position by 3:30 p.m.
The 20x leverage schemes, yeah.
Right. It was wildly risky. But because the margin reporting only happened at the end of the day, the regulators didn't see the risk. You were flat by the time the snapshot was taken, so it looked like you were safe.
But SEBI got wise to this little game.
They did. They introduced peak margin reporting. Now, the clearing corporation takes at least 4 random snapshots of your positions during the day, maybe at 10.15, 12.30, 2.0, and 3.15.
It's like a speed camera that they move around on the highway. You never know where it's going to be.
Exactly. And if your margin was insufficient at any of those peak moments, even for a second, you get hit with a penalty.
So you can't fake it anymore.
Yeah.
You have to have the money to back the trade at the moment you make the trade. No more pretending.
It killed the crazy intraday volume for a while, but it made the system infinitely safer.
Moving on to Section 5. Limits and safeguards. We've talked about money limits, the margins, but there are also quantity limits, position limits.
Right. Even if you have all the money in the world, the regulator doesn't want you to own all the contracts on a particular stock.
Why not? If I'm rich, let me buy. What's the problem?
The problem is manipulation. If you own, say, 90% of the open interest, you can corner the market. You can squeeze the sellers because there is no one else for them to buy from to cover their positions. It breaks the principle of fair play.
So what are the limits? How are they structured?
It's a hierarchy again. At the client level, you generally can't hold more than 1% of the free float market cap of a stock and derivatives, or 5% of the total open interest, whichever is higher. Then there's a broker level limit, and then the big one, the market-wide position limit, or MWPL.
The MWPL? This is the one that triggers the famous ban period. I feel like traders misunderstand the ban period constantly. They see a stock as banned and think, oh, something's wrong with the company, I should sell.
No. Nothing is wrong with the company. It just means the speculative heat is too high. The MWPL is set at 20% of the free float shares. If the total open interest of everyone, you, me, the FIIs, the pros, everybody, crosses 95% of that limit,
The bouncer steps in.
the bouncer closes the door, the stock enters the ban period.
And what does that mean for me as a trader?
It means you cannot open a new position. If you want to buy fresh, your order is rejected. Sell fresh, rejected. You can only trade to reduce your existing position.
It's like the Hotel California in reverse. You can check out anytime you like, but you can never check in.
Ah, that's a great way to put it. And because no new buyers can enter, liquidity often gets very weird. The bid-ask spreads can widen.
And what happens to the price, typically?
It depends. If the market was heavily short and suddenly no new shorts can enter, but the existing shorts are panicking and trying to cover, you get a massive short squeeze. The price can shoot up and the trapped bears get slaughtered because they can't roll over their positions easily.
So the ban period isn't just a timeout. It can be a real pressure cooker.
It is, and you only get out of the ban when the total open interest drops back below 80% of the limit.
Before we leave this section, there was a note about the future. December 2025, something about delta-based open interest. What's that about?
Yes, this is the math getting smarter.
Mm.
Currently, if you buy a call option that is way, way out of the money, it's basically a lottery ticket, it counts towards the position limit the same as a full futures contract.
Which doesn't make any sense because the lottery ticket has very little actual impact on the stock price.
Exactly, it has a low delta. The new system will use delta to weight the positions. So a deep out-of-the-money option might only count as, say, 0.1 of a contract, while a future counts as 1.
So we can fit more positions into the limit as long as they aren't the super risky high delta positions.
Precisely. It aligns the regulation with the actual economic risk of the position, which is much smarter.
Okay, final section, section 6, the safety nets. Let's say the fortress is under attack, the market crashes 20%, a broker goes bust, the margins weren't enough, the walls have been breached. Who saves us?
This is when we deploy the emergency funds. First, there's the Core Settlement Guarantee Fund, or Core SGF.
This is the rainy day fund.
It's a massive pot of money contributed by the clearing corps, the exchanges, and all the members. If a member defaults, meaning they can't pay their obligation, the clearing corps dips into this pot to pay the counterparty.
So if I'm at a profit and the guy on the other side goes broke, the SGF pays me, my trade is still good.
Yes, you get paid, the system holds, the guarantee is honored.
And if that somehow runs out?
Then there is the Investor Protection Fund, or IPF. This is more for compensating investors if a defaulter's own assets aren't enough to cover legitimate claims from their clients. It's the final backstop.
Now, what about a different kind of disaster? Not a financial one, but a technical one. We all live in fear of the glitch. Your app crashes, the screen freezes, the market is moving against you.
This is a very modern problem. SEBI recently introduced IRRA, the Investor Risk Reduction Access Platform.
It sounds like a superhero name. IRA to the rescue.
It kind of is. Imagine your broker's whole data center goes down. You have open positions, the market is crashing, you're frantically tapping your phone, but nothing works.
Total panic mode.
In the past, you were helpless. Now the exchange activates the IRA platform for that broker's clients. You get a text message with a link. You can log into IRA directly, bypassing your broker completely.
And can I keep trading on it? Place new orders.
No. This is critical. IRA is not for trading, it is for escaping. You cannot take new positions, you can only square off your existing ones or cancel pending orders. It is the emergency eject button on a fighter jet.
That is such a relief to know it exists. One last safety feature? Client collateral. The whole pledge system.
This was a huge cleanup of the system. In the old days, to get margin, you would transfer your shares to your broker. The broker held them in their pool account.
And since they held them, I can see where this is going.
Sometimes unscrupulous brokers would use your Reliance shares to get margin for their own proprietary trades. Or even worse, to cover another client's loss.
So they were gambling with my chips.
Exactly. That is now impossible. With the new pledge-repledge system, the shares never leave your DMAT account. You just mark a lien or a pledge in favor of the broker.
So I still own them. They're still in my name, in my account.
You own them. The broker then repledges that lien to the clearing corps. And the key is, the clearing corps now has X-ray vision. They can see all the way down to the individual client level. They know these 100 shares belong to Mr. Sharma, not to the broker.
That transparency is the ultimate protection.
It is. It prevents the misuse of client funds, which was the root cause of almost every single broker scandal in the last 2 decades.
So we've built the fortress. We have the novation moat, the settlement drawbridge, the margin walls, the limit towers, and the safety net bunkers.
It's a pretty impressive structure when you lay it all out.
It really is. It turns the stock market from what could be a chaotic casino into a disciplined financial engine. But I want to end with a provocative thought, a question for you and for the listeners.
Go for it.
We've added all these layers: peak margin, staggered delivery, strict net worth requirements, the cost of compliance is going up, the leverage available to the small guy is going way down. It's getting harder and harder for a small retail trader with, say, 50,000 rupees to participate meaningfully in the F&O market.
That is an undeniable fact. The barrier to entry has gone up.
So my question is the fortress becoming too exclusive? Are we making it so safe that only the rich can play? Or was the previous era, the era of 20x leverage and easy entry, just a ticking time bomb that we were incredibly lucky to survive?
That is the debate, isn't it?
And
But looking at the complexity we just spent the last hour discussing, the math of span, the logistics of physical delivery, I would argue that if you can't understand the rules of the fortress, you probably shouldn't be attacking the castle. The higher barrier to entry might also be a barrier to ignorance.
fair point. If you don't know who the clearing corporation is, maybe you shouldn't be trading futures in the first place.
Exactly.
On that note, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the plumbing of the market. Hopefully next time you click buy, you will visualize the massive, powerful machinery shifting into gear behind that one pixelated button.
See you next time.